Hello, and we are live. Welcome to Taylor Talks Comics. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. See some people in the chat already. I love that. Thank you so much. I am Taylor of Taylor Talks Comics, your host for today's show. We got a lot exciting show for you today. We got a live mystery unboxing. I have a couple boxes that I legitimately do not know what is in them, what comics are in them. So you'll be able to be just as surprised as I am. I got some big news for the channel to go over. And the Ignatz Awards. SPX is coming up in less than 2 weeks. And every year they do the Ignatz Awards, which help celebrate and award the cartoonists, the up-and-coming cartoonists in the industry. First, I would like to dedicate this episode to the memory of Bernie Moreau. Bernie was the cartoonist on. He had a long, I think it lasted like 18 issues, called The Jam, and he's a Canadian cartoonist. I think he's French-born. And so he did The Jam for 18 issues. Is like this is one of the first really realistic superheroes, like what would actually happen if a superhero existed kind of comic, but it was like lighthearted and kind of fun. And the cartooning was incredible, especially the lettering and the panel layouts and stuff. So I implore everybody, go seek out some issues of The Jam if you haven't already. And then Bernie also worked on as an inker and colorist on a lot of things, but I think he worked on a few issues of Grindel, Matt Wagner's Grindel. And he did a one shot of the Riddler written by Neil Gaiman that he did the cartooning on. I think it was colored by Joe Matt. But Bernie sadly took his own life a couple days ago. His publisher has made an announcement about it, and as well as some of his colleagues. And it's really tragic. A couple of them have cited that the pressures of comics and not being as successful as he should have been. Not that he was not as successful as he felt he should have been, but truly as he should have been. Because you go and look at his comics, and you'll have that reaction that you have sometimes when you read these lesser known comics of like, how is this not more famous, and how is this not talked about enough? So he truly was a talent, and for whatever reason, I mean, it's a ruthless game, this comics industry. For whatever reason, he wasn't as big and successful as some of his peers. He did have some brief stints of getting a little bit of recognition. Like he had a 2-issue crossover with Mike Allred in Madman. So if you've been collecting the Madman library editions, you'll have those in there as well. So that might be what he's most recognizable to a more modern audience or more recent comic reading audience, is that he's been in there. I don't know which volume it's in. I want to say maybe this one. I wonder if it's on the back here. No. Trying to see. Anybody in the chat know before I pull all these off the shelf? Record, Adventures, Madman, Day, featuring bonus pinup works by Mobius. I'm not sure. It doesn't say on the back. But there's 2-issue crossover of Madman and The Jam in these library editions that you can read if you want to read some Bernie Moreau. But yeah, it's been a sad year for indie comics, indie cartoonists. Back in April, we lost Ed Piskor to the same affliction. And we lost Joe Matt. We lost Trina Robbins. So it's been a sad year for the underground indie scene of comics. And I just want to recognize Bernie in this moment. I I do want to show off some of his artwork on the channel, but I don't know if I have anything to prepare in the near future. But I will definitely in you know on this channel at some point. But I wanted to say, Google says volume 2. Thank you, Jake. I'm gonna get it to the chat too. Don't worry. I just wanted to. Wanted to recognize Bernie and dedicate the. Yeah, that's right. Because this volume 2 also has the Superman crossover and the Nexus crossover. But Madman and the Jam 1 and 2 are both in here. Oh, I almost flipped right to it. Dang it. Dun, dun, dun. That's Nexus. The Jam fits right in line with Madman too. There's such a perfect combo. Let me get the other cover so you can see the character in all his glory. There he is. So that's Madman, and then the Jam, and that's Bernie Moreau's contribution and character that he created. Yeah, so this episode is dedicated to him, dedicated to Bernie. But so everybody just hug your loved ones, check in on each other. Mental health and these things are usually a quiet suffering, so it's hard to tell sometimes when people are suffering the most. So just check in on each other. Try to have genuine conversations with each other below surface level. But yeah, so it's a dedicated Bernie. See what the chat's talking about. James, thank you for being the first commenter on the chat. Something clever and snarky from Josh Greathouse. Hello, everyone, from Ryan Bragg. Thank you for joining me. And then Brave and the Boys, am I late? No, I think I might have been, though. Sorry. My coffee is taking a little bit longer to brew than I expected. TFTI. I don't know what that means. Is that some new lingo? Some new not millennial. What's the next? Gen Z? I don't know. Google says volume 2. Yes, thank you. Afternoon, folks. Hi, Taylor. Thank you, Panels with Pete, for joining me. I said TFTI before I knew this dedication episode. Now I feel bad. Thanks for the invite. Oh, no, you're fine. I've never seen TFTI before. You're invited to join me in the chat, though. So yes, I do have some unboxings to do. The Ignatz Awards to go over, and what else did I say? Oh, news for the channel. So the unboxings, one of them has to do with the news for the channel, and that is that I've been reaching out to some publishers and been in contact with some publishers. Some have reached out to me about sending review copies and stuff to the channel, which is great. It's one thing that I've always aspired to do on this channel. I've always said that the mission statement for this channel is like, I want people to come for like the typical Marvel DC omnibus overviews, but to stay for the underground independent comics that they might not have heard of. So I try to do a mix of content that's going to bring in big viewership to hopefully then be able to spotlight the indie stuff that maybe people wouldn't recognize, that might shine a spotlight on things that comics that I think more people should be looking at. Sorry, my thoughts are a little jumbled today. So one of those things that I wanted to do is have an avenue for my channel to where I make relationships and contacts with independent cartoonists, but also publishers, where they can send stuff and I can highlight things, and we kind of have a symbiotic relationship there. And I have had cartoonists reach out and send me stuff. I highlight those on the Cartoonist You Should Know segments or episodes on the channel. So there's a playlist for that too, Cartoonist You Should Know. That's where I highlight all the self-published cartoonists, which I need to do more of those. I have a few of those stacked up still, including the great Josh Greathouse, and their comics that I need to show off more. I'm trying to get into a routine of like having like every week I do a Cartoonist You Should Know episode. I do, I don't know, a top 10 list or something, or I do a you know, history of comics kind of episode, like the 1941 episode, which was a huge, massive hit for my channel. It's over 10,000 views at this point, which is not my most watched video, but it's getting close. But it is my most watched video in a short amount of time. Like I hit 10,000 in just 2 weeks, I think. So that video did really well for me, and I'm pretty proud of it. But I want to do more videos like that too. So maybe do like, but those take a little bit more time and research. So maybe do one of those a week. But I'm trying to get to a routine of having a regular kind of schedule of segments kind of thing. I do have something big planned for October, so stay tuned for that. But one of the things, yeah, so I want to have a symbiotic relationship with these independent publishers. So some have reached out to me. I did an unboxing of Living the Lines books. That's on my channel. You can go and watch that. I think that was the last week where they sent me out a bunch of books, and those will be all shown off on my channel in the near future. And then Fantagraphics is the big one. So Fantagraphics, my all-time favorite publisher. I put the shirt on just for today for a special occasion. I wear the shirt often on this channel, but I specifically put it on for this. Fantagraphics, the publisher of Love and Rockets, April, Hate, neat stuff, and then classic reprint material like EC Comics and women's comics, whatever. Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Yeah, a ton of stuff. All-time favorite publisher, hands down. I think if I were to map out how many books I have from each publisher, Fantagraphics would be up there. I think Marvel might edge it out a little bit just because I have so many epic collections and omnibuses. But Fantagraphics would definitely be up there. So it's a publisher I've always wanted to work for or work with. And I've been in contact with them, and Tucker Stone, shout out to him, got back with me and sent me out a box of books. I have no idea what's in this box, so I'm going to unbox it in a little bit. The box of the recent releases, I think, to show off, and then I'm going to then get some review copies from them in the future, which is something I'm super excited about. To have my favorite publisher, I sent them a link of all the stuff I've done for their covering Fantagraphics on my channel, and so I had to have someone from my favorite publisher look through my videos and watch them and think that this is a good spot to show off their books. Is an honor, something I'm super excited about. So I'll definitely do that in a little bit. I'm technically the last year of millennial. Oh, okay, so you're one of us. I think the generations are a little crazy though. The fact that like there's such a large gap in the beginning of millennial and the end of millennial. Like, I think if you're in the same generation, you should be able to relate to each other. And there's some things that like, I feel like at the very beginning and end of millennial generation, I don't know if that is apropos, but regardless, welcome to the club. I thought it was come to the channel for the Kermit and stay for the dupe. Yes. Don't they look so great together? So dupe, I got dupe, but then my wife and son found me the Kermit at a flea market and actually gifted that to me for Father's Day. And I just thought they looked so good together with the arms around each other. They did say they want to find me a little banjo for Kermit, like a one that is to scale for him. That's a classic Kermit though. It's from like the 80s or something. That's stuffed animal. Free books for Fantagraphics. Hell yeah! Congrats, man. That's sick. Thank you, Panels for Pete. Panels with Pete. I keep saying your name wrong. Panels with Pete. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm pretty Gen Z. I'm scared to make phone calls. I have that a little bit too, though. That might not be a generational thing, but it's weird. I am in that bridge of growing up where we always answer the door when someone knocked on the door, and then also now when someone knocks on the door, everybody like closes the curtains and hides, kind of thing. Who knocks on the door anymore? So, anyways, another box I have too is a box from Cheap Graphic Novels, which I have no idea what's in there. I don't know if that was sent to me from somebody as a gift. I have no idea what is in this box. The only other thing I can imagine would be an order that I placed like a long time ago. It was a book that was left over and sent later, but they don't really do that at CGN too much. Usually they wait till they all come in and send it. So I really have no idea what's in that box. But I figured it'd be fun to do those live. 2 unboxings that I have no idea what they are. I don't typically have like some YouTubers I see will be like, I ordered these books and I have no idea what's in this box. Like, I always remember what I order. It's always kind of weird to me when people say that. It's like, how do you not remember what you ordered? I think if you are starting to forget what you ordered, you might be ordering too many books. But I legitimately don't know what's in the box. So I need to make friends that will send me CGN boxes again. Well, I don't even know if that's what it is. So should I open it? Should I open that one first? What do you guys think? Open the Fantagraphics box first or the CGN box? I think the CGN box only has, it looks like maybe one book in there. It could be empty for all I know. It could be a trick. Hopefully it's extremely raunchy books and you get exposed opening it. Hopefully I'll recognize that it's raunchy before I start flipping through it and get demonetized. Oh, open this one. Well, I can't. That's stuck in the screen there, James. I can't get that one. All right, I'm going with the first vote. Fantagraphics, CGN. Fantagraphics, CGN. Who's going to vote? Who's going to vote? Who's going to vote? Which one? I got my calipers right here. I killed 170 people to be here. I'm the beekeeper. Now I'm an accomplice to murder. Thank you. Panels of Pete, CGN. All right, that's the first vote. Oh, Brave of the Boys, CGN. All right, we got 2 votes. All right, let's see what's in here. So, like I said, it's just a small box. Looks like maybe one book. CGN does a great job of packaging their books, though. So you can't really move it around too much by shaking it. All right. IST, OPB. All the 3-lettered names. Walt's Comic Shop. That's WCS. Interesting. It's a Fantagraphics book, but I don't know. I don't know what this is from. It's a Fantagraphics book, though. I don't think they would have had CGN send me a book, though, would they? It is an amazing book, though. Look at this. So it is Donald Duck, the 90th anniversary collection. Maybe Fanta didn't have it in the warehouse. That's a possibility. I'm going to have to. Oh my God, Taylor, speed this up. I'm sorry. I'm trying to build anticipation. I do know Max from CGN. I used to do what do you call it? Social media for CGN. So I have him on. I can text him and ask him where this came from or who sent this. This is amazing. So this is the 90th anniversary collection of Donald Duck. It collects a bunch of greatest hits stuff. You got Carl Barks in here, which if you're a fan of my channel, you watch my content, you know that I love Carl Barks. Don Rosa's Return to Plain Awful's in here. Ramona Scarpa has The Legend of Donald Hood in here. And Marco Rota's Life and Times of Donald Duck traces our hero from birth. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how that mirrors or is different than Don Rosa's famous Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. And then William Van Horn's The Black Moon finds outer space peril threatening Duckburg. The gang's all here. It's a really beautiful collection, though. And has some cool in papers. Look at that. Fantagraphics only designs the best books. And this is, I don't know if this is out yet or not. Does we know that, has this been released yet? Maybe that'll give me a tip on knowing where this came from. Yeah, this is going to be a fun book to sit down with. Regardless, I'm going to show this off on my channel in a full review. But yes, Donald Duck comics are great. I love them. So that's the first book to show off. And Midtown Comics. You can't do 3 letters with that one. MTC, the BEG, GAC. Those are all shops I want to go to, though. By the way, I've been to Midtown. I've been to Midtown in New York City. I've been to the Manhattan one, right in Times Square. Great shop, huge shop, big shop. The Beguiling, though, that's in Toronto, I believe. Correct, Lohit? And I definitely want to go there. That's like a known for like really cool indie comics shop. Golden Apple is the famous one in California, in LA, and I think that's the one that Samuel L. Jackson has his pull list at. It's always a famous thing you can, if you know the people that work there. I think this is Golden Apple. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But if you know the people who work there, they'll take you to the back and show you Samuel L. Jackson's pull folder section area. Maybe they didn't have any in the warehouse. Oh yeah, I don't know. That could be. I need to. I'll reach out and find out. Recently read that Donald Duck becomes Thor and Wolverine, and both those issues were fun. Oh, those were actual issues. I thought those were just, excuse me, variant covers. Those were full issues. Then they should have added those to the gallery, because we're getting a gallery edition of Jason Aaron's Scrooge McDuck story. It'd be cool to add those in there. I'm pretty ignorant to the Ducks books. Would you say Rosa Scrooge stuff is the best? I think it's hard to say. I think the consensus is always to lean towards Carl Barks. I think Don Rosa is probably the easiest and more palatable gateway into the Ducks comics for new readers, and probably easiest to collect, because really, if you want only just a few Duck books, this one would be great, obviously, because it's a greatest hits collection showing off all kinds of cartoonists. Don Rosa, they collected in 10 volumes of all of his material of Ducks comics. But to narrow that down even further, there's a 2-volume box set that collects his entire life and times of Scrooge McDuck story, which is what people often refer to as like the Watchmen of Disney Comics, is usually the loving blurb that people give to that story, because it's such a great, well thought out, dense comic story. And so I think, and the thing that Don Rosa had working for him and in his favor was that he took all of, because he was a huge Carl Barks fan, and he took all of Carl Barks' stories throughout all the years, which is going to be enough to fit like 30 volumes, maybe 32 volumes of the hardcovers. Like that's as much the material that Carl Barks worked on. He took all of that stuff and only that as canon. Anything else that anyone else worked on from like Europe or whatever. Excuse me, hold on. I'm still getting over my sickness from last week. Anything any other cartoonists worked on from Europe or anything else he ignored, it was just the Carl Barks stuff he took as canon. So he's able to narrow that down and then make new stories based off of that. So I think but what Carl Barks was doing back in the day was just making comics, just making stories, just making every month or whatever, trying to come up with a new story. It wasn't really like this thing where he's trying to come up with the beginning, middle, and end of this whole continuity. It was really just put out a new story, which lends itself to being able to just grab any sort of Carl Barks volume and read it, because they're all new reader friendly. None of them are intended to be read from beginning to end. So that's the advantage, I guess, Carl Barks have. So between the two of them, it's hard to pick my favorite, but I'd say Rosa would probably be the best one. That was my gateway. Rosa was the first Duck cartoonist that I got into, and that subsequently made me want to go down the rabbit hole of getting all of the Carl Barks volumes, which, like I said, there's like 30 of. So it definitely is a commitment. But the cool thing is, and I show these off on my channel. I have a video showing off all the Carl Barks hardcovers to date. I think that I might be missing one on there because one just came out last week. Whenever I'll update that video whenever we get a few more volumes. So the good thing is, though, you can buy any of those volumes. They don't have like a number on the spine or anything, so it's not going to look weird. Like you're not going to have a weird volume 12 hardcover on your shelf if you grab any random one. But maybe I could do a video. Maybe that's a good thing to do. A good video on reading Ducks comics for new readers. Panels with Pete, you just gave me an idea. If I have a pen, I'm going to write that down. Excuse me. Oh, geez. Almost spilled my coffee. Got a handy dandy backing board here. Intro to Duck Comics. So that'll be a video I'll do. Ouch. Introduction to Ducks Comics. And then single issues, Taylor. Full issues. I didn't know that. Thor issue dropped this week only, and Wolverine Donald Duck a few weeks ago. Dana Andra, thank you for joining me. It's such a bummer about Bernie Moreau. Yes, absolutely. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you're joining us late, Dana. I did dedicate this episode to Bernie and talk about him a bit in the beginning episode, but yeah, it's such a tragedy. I don't know. There's no answer to these things, and there's still more to the story. Like we just now found out a few hours ago. I guess it happened on the 2nd though, the 2nd of September. But we just found out a few hours ago, so I'm sure more will come out and stuff, more details or whatnot. But not that that's going to answer anything either. There are no answers to these things when someone decides to take their own life. But like I said, the only thing we can do is, check in on each other, try to have genuine conversations below the surface level of people, and that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely a bummer. No love for the mouse though. I do love Mickey Mouse, Josh. I do have a few Mickey Mouse books. I actually have a video planned shortly that's going to be about Mickey Mouse, but I don't have as many Mickey Mouse books as I do Duck books. And that's only because, honestly, I would love to have all the Floyd Gottfredson books for Mickey Mouse, but I don't have the shelf space for that. I've got to make some decisions about which series I collect. And I do have a collector's mentality where if I get one volume of a set, I've got to then get all the volumes. I'm trying to get to the point where I can narrow that down. But if I ever find I don't have any of the Floyd Gottfredson books in my collection, but if I ever find like one for cheap or something, I might pick one up. Yeah, I love Mickey Mouse. I do think that Donald Duck, in the comics that I've read, which I've not read as many Mickey Mouse comics as I've read Donald Duck comics, I do think Donald Duck's more fleshed out a little bit from the writers that have written him. I think he's a more interesting character. So there's that. Do it because they seem accessible, but given the Steam status and mini collections, it is a bit daunting. It is, especially when you get to, the Carl Barks collection is almost complete by Fantagraphics. They've been releasing them out of order. So like Volume 4 is the first one they released, and then for the longest time they didn't release anything before Volume 4 until recently. Volume 3 just came out last week, I think, and then, or maybe Volume 5 was the first one they released because they released Volume 4 and 3, and then 2 is coming out later this year, I think in November. And then it's all going to Volume, I think 30 or 32. I've heard. I don't know, but we'll see, I guess. But yeah, it is daunting whenever you get to a series that's like that large. The same thing with the EC comics. There's like 37 volumes of that. Well, 36 that have come out so far. I have the book right here, actually. Are these Fantagraphics collections, which collect one individual artist in each volume, and they're in black and white, and they're amazing. One of my pride and joys of my collection is having that whole set so far. Same thing with that though, is that like it's another set where like you could have all 36 if you want, or you can just pick and choose because they make it nice and new reader friendly as well. No love for Goofy. I don't know that Goofy's had his own long running comic series. Maybe that's the thing that we need. I do love Goofy though. A Goofy movie, the first one, it was one of my favorite movies as a kid, and it still holds up today. I love that movie. Get rid of Love and Rockets helping the box set there. No, actually, last year I did purge all of my Love and Rockets the paperback omnibuses, the ones that collect like each volume's collecting they collect them, they collate them by brother, I guess. So it'd be like a whole volume of just Jaime stories and a whole volume of Gilbert. I purged all those and sold them because I'm going to. My goal now is to collect them all in single issues because after reading that box set, I keep pointing the wrong way. After reading that box set where they're facsimile editions of the actual single issues themselves, I realized that that's the way I want to read Love and Rockets going forward. So now I'm trying to collect all the single issues because that's all volume 1. I need all single issues for volume 2, 3, and 4. So as of now, Love and Rockets is not taking a lot of space in my collection. But stay tuned, I guess. Your books have got to Memphis, Tennessee. Super Laugh Hard. Thank you for joining me. Does that mean Super Laugh Hard ordered some comics from Josh? If you did, you should. Everybody should. Bang the Ballad of the Tiger. Josh Greathouse's awesome webcomic, which you can read for free online, or you can order from his website. Oh, maybe Josh ordered books. I don't know what's going on there. Private conversation. Let's open this Fantagraphics book box though. So again, I'm super stoked for this. My absolute favorite publisher. Kind of feels like Christmas morning a little bit because I have no idea what's in here. Tucker from Fantagraphics, again, shout out to him. Thank you so much if you're watching this. But he didn't tell me what he's going to send me. He just said, "Oh yeah, we got some books laying around. I'll send you a box." And then he did ask for a list of like books from their catalog for me to let him know that I can do reviews on. Not saying that he's going to send me all those books. It would be great if he did. But so I kind of know going forward what I'm going to be getting, but it was really cool though. He asked for ideas of content my viewers like, as far as like upcoming releases or current releases, that kind of thing. So it did seem collaborative. It wasn't just a conversation where the publisher's like, "Yeah, I'll send you books," and then that was it. So I'm hoping to continue this relationship with them, and maybe some other publishers. Oh no, it's got Peanuts. Not Peanuts, the Charles Schultz comic. Peanuts, like you're gonna make a mess of my basement. Peanuts, like these kind. Let me try to do this as mess free as I can. Anyway, keep the chat going while I open this. Oh, they're like, I said it's like Christmas. They even wrapped them in brown paper. All right, I managed to pull these out without getting a single styrofoam peanut on the ground. Now I got to unwrap these books. And if I have doubles of any of these, I might do a giveaway, which I think I saw one right away. Ooh, yes. All right, first two books I unwrapped. High Times and Misdemeanors, Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Let me see. Do I have this one? I do. Is that different though? Hold on a second. All right, now I'm confused. So this is Fabulous Freak Brothers, High Times and Misdemeanors. It says volume 2 on the spine. I do have but so does this one. The Fabulous Freak Brothers 7th Voyage and Other Follies also says volume 2. So I wonder if that's a mistake. I don't know. Interesting. But I don't have this volume. So this is a new volume that I don't have. But regardless, despite that, they are great looking on the shelf. But Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers is one of my favorite stoner comics. I need to get some WD-40 for my chair. Sorry for the squeaking. One of my favorite stoner comics by Gilbert Shelton and Dave Sheridan. Team up for the latter indolent. Oh, this has the whole Aliens comic strip. The Nerds is in it. So are these earlier stories, or I wonder? Hold on a second. I'm really confused by the spine here. This has some colored comics in here. Show these off. I love the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Like I said, there's stoner comics. If you think like Cheech and Chong or Bill and Ted, like that kind of stuff. But I think these are even better than those. And they're of the underground comic scene of like the R. Crumb, S. Clay Wilson, Spain Rodriguez days of Zap Comics. But these hardcovers are collecting everything that they ever put out for Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers or anything Gilbert Shelton and Dave Sheridan did. And it's even got a die cut cover, which is cool. So these are really cool volumes. I do think they messed up on the volume number on the spine, though. So I will have to look into that. Catch them on the chat first. Omnidog still needs to buy 11 rockets. Yes, he does. I tried to get him when I think IST had him on sale, right? And they he missed out on it. Opposite Super Laugh Hard is too kind. Oh, Super Laugh Hard sending you books. It's good to see you, Taylor. Taylor, tell Bromar next time you are on a stream that the Goofy movie is amazing. Does he not like Goofy movie? I know he did a stream with Amanda recently where they talked about classic Disney movies. Was he dogging Goofy movie? I might have to yell at him for that. Super Laugh Hard, I need you to email me your address. Unless Josh sent it to me first. Super Laugh Hard, I will definitely do that. I don't know your email of Super Laugh Hard, but my email is in the description of this video. If you want to hit me up, and then we can talk. So let's do that. But it's Taylor Talks Podcasts at gmail.com. There's an S on Talks and S on Podcast. Taylor Talks Podcasts at gmail.com is my email. Which actually, I think I have a banner for that. There we go. Look at that. Technology, right? Wait, back to the chat. Thank you for lighting up the chat. I appreciate that. After last week's stream, I ordered Kaiju Max. Thank you. Book 1 and 2 just arrived today. Really surprised by the size of those. Looking forward of getting into volume 1 this weekend. It's such a fun series. I'm rereading volumes 1 and 2 now because I got volume 3 in, which I think is what you're alluding to. And it's such a fun series. Like, it's such a subversive series where it looks like it's cartoony and kid-friendly on the surface, but it really isn't. And then the annotations at the bottom of the pages are amazing too. Zaner Cannon annotated every single page, showing off the Easter eggs and the inspiration for each page and the characters within the story, because they're all inspired by other kaiju movies. It's a really fun reading experience, getting those kaiju-sized books. Also, I am sending you James' email. He has helped me with international shipping. The weirdest, freakiest books from Fanta always pique my interest. Yes, I agree. They always have such a diverse catalog. Kaiju Max is amazing. I agree. Add some milk and you got some good eating there. I don't know what that means. Fantagraphics. Those hardcover editions are fantastic. I want to upgrade for my paperbacks eventually. Of the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, they are great. I actually had the paperbacks and I sold them. And I think these are going to be more complete, though. I don't think they ever completed in a paperback, if this is what you're referring to. They are great, though. There's 5 volumes out now, and I think 7 is going to complete the set. I finally completed my martial law collection. Such a shame the crossovers aren't in the DC OHC. It is. I love Kevin O'Neill, though. Kevin O'Neill's, every time I read a Kevin O'Neill comic, he moves up my list of favorite artists. Josh, I know you're reading the Lobo Compendium right now. Have you got to the fan comic convention issue of Lobo where Kevin O'Neill does the artwork on it? That one might be my favorite issue in the whole compendium. But I agree. I wish the crossovers were in that collection. I still need to collect those, actually. The issues that were not in that collection. Swiss Magician. Never read it before, but Taylor sold me on it last week. Oh, yes. You just said that. Sorry. FFF Brothers is another blind spot for me. Always dug the cartooning, but haven't gotten to it yet. It is. I mean, if you're into like stoner comedy or even like, I think that an easy, lazy comparison would be like adult cartoons like Simpsons or Bob's Burgers or Family Guy, that kind of humor. I think they push the boundaries more than you can on TV, but it's definitely that vibe, I would say. The comic book version of that. I collect those Freak Brothers books because of you, Taylor. Oh, thank you. Though I grew up reading those hippie comics. I need to do a video on those still, which I'm going to. All these books that I unboxed from Fanda, I'm going to do separate videos on. Different collection? I don't think so. I think it's just I think it's a typo or a mess up. Because they're all Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers on the spine. And they've been painting this collection as being like a 7-volume set. I don't know. Interesting. There is a cartoon though animated cartoon starring Woody Harrelson, Pete Davidson, John Goodman, and Tiffany Haddish, and it's on Tubi, the free streaming app Tubi. So you can watch it on there if you want to. I haven't watched the cartoon before. Has anybody else? Let me know in the chat. Omar refuses to watch the Goofy movie. What? I think he would like it, especially with the father-child relationship stuff in there. I think he would get a kick out of it. We all agree that Grimlock is a kaiju. I would. Sure, why not? Put your hand in the box. Add those peanuts to milk is the joke. Oh, it's a bad joke. Nope. Just got that weird one of Lobo versus Harem. Harem? Taylor, I think I sent you an email. Ironically, it's a stoner's mistake, methinks. Oh, maybe that's the joke. They were high when they made that. Anyways, the second book I got from Fantagraphics is the Atlas Library Volume 4 War Comics. One that I was super stoked to be coming out. These are beautiful, beautiful collections. So Marvel has farmed out the Atlas era comics to Fantagraphics to restore and publish, which I'm very excited about because they do a great job. Michael Vasallo is the guy that does all the restoration on these. And he does a way better job than I think Marvel would have done, if I'm honest. It is kind of funny seeing a book with a Marvel logo and Fantagraphics logo. But the Atlas era, if you're not familiar, is the era of Marvel comics that took place before the Silver Age. So we all know the Silver Age of Marvel started with FF number 1. I can probably take that off the screen, right? And prior to that, they were called Atlas Comics, was the name of the publisher, where they released kind of a similar genres as like the EC Comics. So they had like sci-fi, war, crime, sci-fi, and horror comics. Kind of those, because superheroes weren't really trendy in the 50s too much. So that's what the Atlas era, whenever someone says Atlas era of comics, like, yes, Captain America did exist, and so did Submariner and the Human Torch. Those were more timely era, but they did bleed into the Atlas era. But those weren't the popular comics. So this is all war comics, and it collects, which I guess I can show off this cover while I talk about it. Here's the stories that they highlight. Gene Colan's The Chips Are Down, about Japanese prisoners of war. I love Gene Colan. Then we got Pete Morisi's Death in the Desert, Bill LaCava's You Only Die Once, and Russ Heath's Alone, following a dread-filled infantry private through a nightmarish bombed Korean town. Oh, I'm sorry. I got this wrong. Michael Vasallo is not the guy that does the restoration. He's a gentleman that is like the historical authority on Atlas Comics. And he writes the introduction. The restoration is done by, let me see. I know his name if I see it. Paul Baresh. Alan Harvey. There it is. So the restoration of this book is credited to Alan Harvey, Paul Baresh, and Ben Horick. Alan Harvey is the gentleman I know and I'm familiar with because he he did the restoration on the Atlas at War book, which I show off in a video called Fave 5 War Comics, I think it is called, the video. So if you go, you can see that video or see that book in that video. It's called Atlas at War. And that was put out by the publisher called Dead Reckoning. And it was just like a one-off, like best of Atlas War Comics kind of thing. This is more of a complete library set. So I do, whenever I do a video on this, I will show off if there's any crossover, because I'm sure there is crossover on certain stories within both of them. But the Michael Vasallo introductions are great too. Like, they show off some of the covers here. But I'll show off if there's any crossover between the two volumes, because I know some people have asked me that whenever I showed off this on social media or in Facebook groups. So I'll compare the two. But the cool thing about this is, with the Michael Vasallo introductions and stuff, is that it's preserving comic book history. And that's one thing I'm always advocating for, because the further and further you get into history, the less and less it dwindles down the knowledge of people on these older stories. So like, one thing that I fear is like comics of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, the further we get into the future, if we don't preserve them and put them in new collections and put them out in front of new eyes, that is just going to disappear eventually, because the amount of people that know about it will disappear. So Michael Vasallo writing his introductions is always great, because now it's preserving that history to where now guys like me will read them and then hopefully continue on the path of people knowing all about them. But it's a very extensive introduction. But the restoration on these are great. I don't know if it's hard to show these off in this camera view, but they restore it by taking scans of the old comics and then actually like touching up the colors that way. Whereas Marvel, when they restore it, have a different way with their Masterworks, where they will scan in like the old line art and then recolor them in a lot of ways or whatever. So the comparison of the two, I don't care for Marvel's side of things, because they're usually pretty oversaturated and garish. They don't take into account, it seems like, that these comics were originally printed on like old, cheap, thin matte newsprint paper, that when you put the color on it, it would like soak up the color in a lot of ways. So if you take that exact same coloring process and put it onto a glossy, glossy finish paper stock that Marvel uses for like their Masterworks and stuff, the color's not going to take as well. It's going to take it differently. So the restoration on these by Alan Harvey takes all that into account, and it looks as good as you can imagine reading these in the original form. But yeah, just like the color treatment on these is just absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to show these off. Dun, 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 dun. James, clip that Grimlock. Do you have all the Atlas? I don't. I only have. Oh, there's Atlas that were right there. Here's the Atlas at War book I was referring to, by Dead Reckoning. So I'll do a comparison of these two and figure out what is collected in both. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Actually, only have. This chair is really squeaky. I only have one actually so far. So this is my second one. So I'm behind. I have volume 1, Adventures into Terror, and then I need to get the Venus one, and what was the third one? There's War, Crime. Oh, it's Sci-Fi. It was The Day of the Rockets was the second one, or third one. But you will notice that they changed the trim size after volume 1, so they're matched up at the bottom there, but you can see Atlas War's a little bit taller than Adventures in Terror. Apparently, they had some issues with the printer on the first volume, and that's been changed. So all the subsequent volumes will be the same trim size as this one. It's just that first volume is going to be a little bit shorter. There is a good podcast on YouTube about how Tarantino nearly made a Sergeant Rock movie. Really, I want to find that. Tarantino was actually a really big comic book fan back in the day. I just listened to the audiobook for his recent book. What's it called? Cinema. I forget what it's called. A new book. Cinema something. Cinema speculation. I was saddened that he only does the audio for like the first chapter and then it's someone else. Tarantino's one of those guys that I love hearing him tell stories, so I can listen to him read a CVS receipt. He's just that interesting of a guy. But he tells a story in that book about growing up reading comics and how some of his favorite comics were the war comics from Marvel and DC, like Sergeant Rock. But they're I forget what the name of there's like a 13 issue run or something like that, a 12 issue run, some small run of a series from Marvel that he really loved. It talks about in that book. I've always wanted to collect it ever since then. But yeah, Tarantino doing Sergeant Rock would be amazing. I've always thought the perfect Tarantino comic book movie, if you were to like do a comic book adaptation, would be 70s era Power Man and Iron Fist. And it would have to be a 70s era period piece with all the schlocky, blaxploitation, grindhouse, kung fu movie aspects of those characters done Tarantino style, rated R. I think it'd be brilliant. I think it'd be the best Marvel movie ever. Doesn't have to fit into the MCU continuity. Just let Tarantino do his thing. It'll likely never happen. But that's my dream Tarantino comic book project. I enjoy dabbling in older comics, but I find the lack of attention span to binge. I've been slowly reading 50 Girls 50 and Cigar Popeye Collection, which are both nice. Yeah, that's the one thing to remember is that those comics back then were not meant to binge. They were meant to pick up one every week and read it. So that's one thing I think people that say like old comics aren't, they're boring or whatever when they collect these omnibuses and stuff, which I love. Golden and Silver Age comics. They're not meant to binge, so that's why I have bookmarks in all my books. I'll read through a few issues and put a bookmark in it and move on to something else. But 50 Girls 50, the Al Williamson stuff is amazing. Which, speaking of which, the Fantagraphics is releasing an Al Williamson collection in the EC Artist Library. Is that what that is? Sorry, it's covered up right now. But they did one for Joe Maneely, and it's like an oversized edition collecting a bunch of the Atlas era stuff by Joe Maneely. They're doing one for Al Williamson. It's going to have 400 pages of Al Williamson artwork. I think it comes out in January. I'm excited to pick that up. The squeaky chair adds to the vibe of your channel, like the vibe of like old comics and weird stuff. Maybe should I keep it there? It's like the spinner rack squeak that people romanticize. Definitely more enjoyable to read a story here and there. Yes, I agree. Type Tarantino on into YouTube and thank me later. I will. There was a clip I saw from a recent interview he did where he talks about his favorite trilogies, and he talks about Toy Story being one of his favorite trilogies and how perfect Toy Story 3 ended and how they shouldn't have made a fourth one, and he doesn't care about the fourth one. He'll never see the fourth one. And even though I saw the fourth one because I have a child that loves Toy Story, I agree with him. Toy Story 3, amazing trilogy. Ended perfectly. Should have kept it that way. Tarantino's 70s Power Man Iron Fist would be wildly fun. Way more exciting than that now dead rumored Star Trek film that he was working on. I love both, but don't want those together. I know. I think because Tarantino, all of his movies, obviously, if you're a Tarantino fan, you know that he loves that 70s era of cinema, and he loves blaxploitation and kung fu, like both those crazes that happened throughout the 70s. And Power Man and Iron Fist were both comic book characters that were birthed out of those popular genres of blaxploitation and kung fu. They both came out of that. Marvel trying to tap into those markets. So it's all such a perfect blend, perfect fit. It'll never happen, but it's one thing that I like to dream about. So I have a few more books here from Fantagraphics to open. Ooh, nice. So I did have a little bit of fear that they were going to send me something I already bought, but they didn't. So I got no doubles. And these are all... So Fantagraphics does a lot of great classic collections that I love. of like what I showed off with the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers and the Atlas Library, and Carl Barks that I talked about. They've had a long history of doing like Love and Rockets since the beginning, Dan Klaus's 8-Ball since the beginning, Pete Baggs' Hate and Neat stuff since the beginning. So that's all like the most popular, well-known stuff from Fantagraphics. But they also publish stuff from up-and-coming cartoonists that even I don't know much about. So those are always exciting books, but the ones that I'm always like, I'm trepidation. I have a budget, right, of what I can purchase and what I can read and stuff. So that stuff's always the stuff that unfortunately falls onto the wayside. Hopefully, with this relationship with Fantagraphics, I'll be able to get these books and show them off, and put a bigger spotlight on them. But that's what these three seem to be. So this first one is called Mothballs, and this is by Sol Otero. And this is a beautifully designed book, as it's a thick one. And the cover's like I don't know if you can see like the spot gloss on there. It's got like a textured cover to it with some French flaps. Beautiful, beautiful. Love the end papers, or the inside cover at least. This was designed by Kayla E. I always like to give credit to the designers. One of my favorite Fantagraphics book designers was Jacob Covey, and he's no longer with them. He moved on to, I think he was working for Magic the Gathering now. Oh, this looks great. I love the color treatment in here. I'm not familiar with this cartoonist either, so this will be a brand new experience for me, and a brand new experience for me to show off on the channel, which is always exciting. Yeah. So what's this one about? Eleanor Davis does the blurb here. Otero's Mothballs is an unflinching look at family, love, and choosing your own path. It stayed with me long after I read it. It takes place in 2001 in San Martin, Argentina. Upon her estranged grandmother Vilma's death, 19-year-old Rocio moves into a house haunted by memories. Seeking a deeper understanding, Ro delves into her family history and uncovers the episodes of violence and betrayal that shattered Vilma's dreams. All the while, the familiar scent of mothballs permeating the estate serves to remind Ro of the ineluctable spell of the past that she must break to forge her own path in life. Yeah, that's going to be amazing. So Mothballs is going to be on top of my to-read stack. This one is My Time Machine by Carol Leigh. This is one I had definitely my eye on because it deals with time travel, and the cartooning on the inside looks brilliant as well. Show off some of that cartooning. But this one is when I came to, I had to, where am I feeling? Okay, trapped in a glitchy time machine at the end of the world, a strange creature banging unnervingly at the door. What else is an exhausted amateur time traveler to do but sit back and play her concertina? My Time Machine takes off when Carol Leigh's silver-haired protagonist, who happens to resemble the author, embarks on a foolhardy odyssey that transports her from the politically addled and environmentally anxious America of 2020 to a bleak and distant future. Oh, yes. Okay, I remember. Yes, this is coming back to me now. Carol Leigh's Time Machine is a serious and funny and sly cautionary political satire and rollicking time travel story full of puzzling paradoxes, edge-of-your-seat suspense, breezy badinage, and a deeply felt wonder at the universe. Yes, this is like a political satire, social commentary, which I love. If you're a viewer on my channel, you know I always talk about how much I love those things and stories. And also, that's a great page. I think it's like a little bit of an autobio comic too, but like an autobio fictional comic, because it says like it makes a comment about how she's in the story. There's a great breakdown of all the Parker movies. I didn't realize there was so many. The same Parker, and yes, in the Cinema Speculation. Is that the book? Is that what it's called? Cinema Speculation. Yeah, that book. If that's what you're referring to, he does do a great breakdown of all the Parker related movies, and then I've gone down the rabbit hole of watching all those movies. So definitely, I don't know if that's what you're referring to, or if you're saying on the YouTubes, he does that as well. Hamza, how you doing, my man? What up? Watching at work, I appreciate that. My time machine sounds cool. Yes, it does, and I'll have a video showing off that more. Last but not least, I have the farewell song of Marcel Lebrun. So this is a great looking book as well, as always. The Fantagraphics logo too, by the way, which they now, because they for the longest time they put different logos, like the logo would almost be based on like the design of the book or artist. So it wasn't until a couple years ago they actually had a succinct and definitive logo they put on all their books, and that's the one. And that's actually was all designed by Jacob Covey as well. Sometimes it looks like that. Sometimes it has like the full design like this on the bottom. Either way, I like it. It's a cool little tidbit. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Is this like an older comic that's been translated? Let me see here. The edition of Farewell 2024 personal content. It doesn't say when it was originally published. It definitely looks like a translated work, though. Oh, you know what this is? I know what this is. See, this is why I go over the catalogs on Fantagraphics. I remember what this is. So, Attilio Micheluzzi, the cartoonist here, this is a new set of books that they're putting out where they're translating the works like they've done for Jacques Tardy, and where they've been putting all of Jacques Tardy's books out. I'm trying to think of other cartoonists. I mean, Karl Barks I listened to, but what are some other foreign cartoonists they have gone through? I don't know. Jacques Tardy is the first one that comes to mind. But they now have the license to do all the Attilio Micheluzzi books, which is great. So they're going to be translating and doing all of his works. And this is the first one. Yes, this is all coming back to me looking at the artwork because it looks brilliant. Like it looks like very reminiscent of like almost like a Jacques Tardy. I can see some Tardy in there, but also who's the cartoonist that did the Corto Maltese? I'm drawing a blank here. Corto Maltese. Corto Maltese. What's his name? Okay, I understand. Someone's going to put in the chat. Hugo Pratt. Did someone beat me in the chat to Hugo Pratt? I don't know. But it kind of reminds me of Hugo Pratt a little bit too. Like some great line work. I remember showing this off in the whenever Fantagraphics puts out a new catalog, I always show off. They always have like interiors and stuff, so it puts into my mind which ones I want to. Yes. Oh my gosh, man, they knocked it out of the park. Thank you so much, Fantagraphics and Tucker Stone. I will definitely be showcasing all of these on my channel and hopefully doing them justice and putting some new eyes on your great catalog. So what do you guys have to say? Howdy all. Thank you, Space Monkey, for joining me. I love the new logo, but kind of missed that featuring with the title. Oh yeah. I can see it both ways. But I do like having a distinct logo. I think it probably plays better too in bookstores because it's like you recognize it as a thing. I talked about this when I did my Living the Line video, where like they become like this curator of comics and art, where if they had like the Living the Line name attached to it, you can expect a certain kind of comic, and I think that's important. So having that logo on it in a bookstore probably kind of has that same feeling. Like if someone read Mothballs maybe as their first Fantagraphics comic and recognize that logo, maybe next time they go to the bookstore and they see that logo on my Time Machine, maybe they'll give it a shot. That kind of thing. I had that same feeling growing up too with when I was into the punk scene of music and recognizing certain record labels and stuff. Hugo Pratt. Oh, did you beat me to it? I don't know. I want to read more Pratt. I do too. Do we have any idea if Fantagraphics will reprint the early Prince Valiant box sets? I don't know. I can ask. I know that I think they reprinted the single volumes, maybe not the box sets. So I don't know. Taylor, I just sent you an email with the Tarantino YouTube links to save you time. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That would give me something. I do more YouTube watching probably than I do like movies and TV these days. So I'll definitely have that in my docket to put in the background while I'm working on other stuff. Thank you guys for watching though. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get to the Ignatz Awards. What is today? The 4th. Next week's the 11th. So next week will still be before the Ignatz Awards and SPX happens. So we're going to go over those next week. I just have to get out of here because I have to go do something before I pick up my son from school. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Super stoked about this Fantagraphics thing. Thank you for you guys' support. You guys' support on the channel is the only reason why things like this happen. And ways you can support the channel, I'll go over my plugs. You guys put any last minute things in the chat and I'll address those after my plugs. But ways you can support the channel, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. For the foreseeable future, I'll be going live every Wednesday at noon Eastern. You can always watch this on replay. They're always in the live tab, but I'll be going live at noon Eastern every Wednesday. So look forward to that. Joining me for lunchtime on Wednesdays. And also content this week. I'm going to be doing my video on Batman Year One Artist Edition. Will be coming out this week, and also have some other artist editions to show off, like the McFarlane Spider-Man. I have X-Men by Dave Cockrum to show off. I'm going to do some videos on maybe some of these books I read. So look forward to that. Yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of those videos. Comment down below if you're watching this on replay. I always answer all comments, and then that kind of engagement helps put this channel in front of eyes of other people, because whenever you get more thumbs ups and more comments and things, YouTube sees people like the content, so they'll put it in front of the eyes of suggested videos on the front page for people that don't even know my channel exists. So that's ways you can support the channel. And also, my favorite thing that people do sometimes is they'll take my links to my videos and share them on social media and put them in front of the eyes for your followers on social media. And I always appreciate that. Make sure to tag me in those posts though too, so I can give you the proper thanks. Those are all free ways to support the channel. You can always go to Organic Price Books though and shop for comics. It'll actually save you money, and then I get a little bit of money on the back end if you use my codes. But Taylor Talks Comics, all one word, will save you $2 off any order with organicpricebooks.com. Put it in a larger order, 4 books or more. TTC, ship it together, all one word. TTC, ship it together. That'll save you 5% off of a larger order, 4 books or more. And I think all that information is down below in the description, as well as where to follow me on social media and all those things. Oh, yes. Thank you. James Abel, I have a Discord as well. That link is not probably in the description, but I'll fix that. I have a Discord as well if you want to chat comics with me on another platform outside of YouTube. All right. What do you guys have to say before I get out of here? Oh, yes. The Awesome Anime Redline is on YouTube, folks. Watch it while you can. I've never heard of that. Maybe I will. Thank you, Taylor. Have a great day. You too, Super Laugh Hard. Dinner time for Swiss Magician. He does. I'm shocked he answers my goofy questions. I always answer your questions, Josh. Yes, I'll answer all your questions. He forgot about his Discord. I know. I'm sorry. Coley, thank you for joining me. It's high noon. Have I missed the unboxing? You did, but you can watch the replay, so don't fret. Make James a mod before anything. I need to. That's what I need to do. Tell me how to do that again, Josh, when you DM me later. But everyone, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching my unboxing. Thank you to Fantagraphics. Thank you to everyone that watched. Everyone, read more comics. Watch more YouTube content videos about comics. Make comics if you're doing that too. Everything in comics. Catch you later.